As of today, Friday, January 18th, are the Toronto Maple Leafs built to beat the Boston Bruins in the 2019 playoffs? No, I don't think they are. And this is coming from a Toronto Maple Leaf fan first and foremost. Before we get into it, let's talk about the Bruins. We all know they've got that super line with Bergeron and Pasternak and Marchand, who also make up the first power play unit, which just turns other teams' PK into Swiss cheese. The other thing is their rock solid D. Now, it may not be the best defense in the league, but it's up there. A team that's been scratching John Moore from time to time when all their D are healthy. Lastly, there is Tuukka Rask, who hasn't been playing great up until the new year, I want to say, where he's been Tuukka Rask again. And that's bad news for everyone else, especially Toronto, who will most likely face him in the first round of the playoffs. And I know Boston wants to upgrade here and there on the wing, second line wing, and third line center kind of thing. But we're just talking face value. If they do upgrade and Toronto doesn't, the only way I see Toronto beating Boston is if Frederik Andersen absolutely stands on his head. And I do think he's capable of doing that, especially seeing as how he's on pace to play about, I want to say, around 5 games less than he did last season. And that just happened to be by default or by luck, really, because of his groin injury. But yeah. So it's the possibility is there, is what I'm trying to get at. Now, Toronto, we all know they're great down the middle. They're stacked for the most part on the wings. Although some of them didn't show up in the playoffs last season, and in reality, they can't just depend on Marner and Tavares or even Hyman, to be the only ones who are clicking on a consistent basis every single game. You can't have Matthews, Nylander, and those other players pop in and out. Now, Janssen, when he came in for Komarov last season, played really well for the rest of those games, as did Kapanen. So we're, I'm hopeful about those two players being consistent as well. But still, it's that right-hand defense that is just, God, it's just bad. It's not awful, but it's bad. Now, Morgan Riley's great. Jake Gardiner is gifted offensively, but we all know, and we've seen it in the last little while, that he's prone to mistakes. Especially in the playoffs, it can get ugly. Now, yes, I know Toronto played Tampa yesterday, and they won. Yeah, they won. I mean, they won 4-2, but really it was 3-2 because it was an empty net goal. And really, if you played that game again tomorrow, Tampa could just as easily win that game, and probably most likely would. Last time Toronto played Tampa, they looked like the better team, and they still lost 4-1. But Tampa's really has been demolishing teams right now. They've been eating everyone for breakfast. So, I just don't think the right D is good enough, even if Andersen stands on his head. So let's talk about trades. Now, you've all heard that it would probably take one of Kapanen or Janssen, a first round draft pick, and a prospect in order to get someone of real, upper caliber quality like a Peryanko or a Pietrangelo, and that would sting. And as a Leaf fan, I guess I would do it. I'd much rather have Peryanko because he's much younger and the contract is better, and the chances of signing him and playing better for longer are just more pleasing than, long term than it is for Pietrangelo. And Pietrangelo hasn't been having the best season of late anyways. Although I wouldn't doubt he'd, really crank it up in the playoffs. But I don't know. I think I think maybe the Leafs are thinking that's too much right now. I mean, even LA wants like a first rounder and a prospect for Jake Muzzin. I know he's a left-hand shot D, but still. And then there's Joe Pesci from Carolina. What if the Leafs traded for them? They'd probably still have to give up one of Janssen or Kapanen, which I'm still a little iffy at, and I'll tell you why. And I think a lot of Toronto Maple Leaf fans may think I'm crazy because it involves maybe just bowing out again in the first round to Boston in the playoffs. William Nylander. I know Dubas said he promised not to trade him this season. But after July 1st, all his bonuses and the heavy lifting of paying his contract will be done. And he'll look like a much more attractive piece to other teams that way. Because he's got a manageable cap hit. And I know they see his potential. They'll look at him and say, okay, he had an off year. He didn't start until, missed training camp and didn't start till like December. I'm sure they could see the upside of getting a William Nylander who could play on wing or who could also play at center. He's a great skater. He's a great playmaker. And when he does use a shot, it's really accurate. But, yeah, they would have to wait until after July 1st to do that. But at least in that in that sense, it might be a one-for-one trade. You could probably get away with trading Nylander for Paryenko one-on-one. Or even Pietrangelo one-on-one. As opposed to having to trade one of Kapanen or Johnson, a first-rounder, and a prospect. Anyways, that's just my view on it. If you're a Toronto fan, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. If you're a Bruins fan, ditto. If you're a hockey fan, I would like to hear your thoughts on this. Thanks so much for watching. Hit like if you like this video. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. And hey, if you happen to have any hockey geek friends, please don't feel shy about sharing. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.